Hard to believe. For over 37 years, I've taken sightseers, young and old alike, to the top of Mount San Jacinto. In all that time, my biggest kick was seeing the kids' faces, especially when they passed the tower. The excitement both the adults and children felt riding the second steepest tram ride in the world. As you can see, I'm retired now, but I remember when I was just a gleam in the eye of a guy named Francis Crocker. Crocker sure loved these mountains. When he was a spry young engineer working in Palm Springs back in the 1930s, he'd get away from all the summer dust and heat and go backpacking into these mountains with his horses. He wanted others to come up and enjoy the coolness and natural beauty. As I heard it, Crocker and his friends, Carl Barco, a no-nonsense local newspaper publisher, drove by Chino Canyon one day when Frank brought up the idea of a tram. Carl kind of poo-pooed the idea at first, and some locals who read about Frank's idea in the paper began calling it Crocker's Folly. But Francis never gave up, even though it took nearly 30 years before he realized his dream. Oh, there was lots of talking and planning, mostly by supporters like the Desert Inn owner, Earl Kaufman, who funded a study done by Joseph Strauss, chief engineer on the Golden Gate Bridge. His and several other studies proved the tram was not only possible, but would probably be a boon to the local economy as well. And that sure got the bandwagon rolling. World War II and the Korean War kind of took everybody's mind off of me for a while. But in June of 1945, Governor Earl Warren signed a measure creating the Mount San Jacinto Winter Park Authority, a 7-person board with the power to use revenue bonds to fund the project. $8.15 million worth, and not a penny of it taxpayers' money. Crocker finally saw the beginning of all his dreaming take shape in 1961. So the board commissioned Von Roll Ironworks of Bern, Switzerland, and 2 different architects were commissioned to build the valley and mountain stations. Next came the huge support towers, 5 in all, the tallest being 214 feet high. Those cables were something else, too. Specially manufactured at a U.S. steel plant in Trenton, New Jersey. The track cable was 13,500 feet long, 1 7/8 inches in diameter, and weighed 60 tons, the longest locked coil cable ever built at that time. There was a lot of unique challenges in building the tram. Only the first tower was accessible by road, for instance. Building the rest would have been almost impossible. Helicopters hauled up the men, materials, and machinery. Finally, in September 1963, I was ready to take my inaugural run. Yeah, I was quite the star back then. Von Roll's managing director, who had built dozens of other trams worldwide, said that I was the most spectacular tram ride in the world. And Earl Kaufman said, who would have thought back in 1935 that Crocker's dream would become the 8th wonder of the world? Politicians and celebrities came to ride on that day, and I've taken many important people up and down since then. But I've never been prouder than when Mr. and Mrs. Crocker stepped aboard. Since then, I made more than tens of thousands of round trips and carried millions of people, plus all the food, water, and just about anything else needed up at the mountain station. Oh, those were the days. My last trip was in the spring of 2000 when the new kid, the rotating tram car, was invited to come from Switzerland to take my place. I'll let my friend Ralph introduce you to him. Ralph?
Summer 2000. Von Roll Tramway Company, original Swiss tram designer of the Palm Springs Aerial Tram, installed the largest and most innovative tram transportation system in North America.
Of course, that's me, the Rotair, the rotating tram car. 18 feet in diameter, 8 feet high, my floor rotates twice around per one-way trip, providing a full 360-degree viewing experience for all my passengers. There's only 2 other Rotair tram systems in the world, one in Switzerland and one in South Africa, and I'm the largest with the highest vertical ascent.
Hey, kid, you're not the only one with that record, you know.
I'm happy to give credit where credit's due. After all, you pioneered many firsts yourself. But so as everyone can understand, let one of my engineers explain how a tram system works.
This is our AC drive motor cabinet. We have 2,500 amps of 483 phase power coming into this building to power a 1,200 horsepower AC motor located beneath us. From that motor, we go to the gearbox, and that gearbox drives this brake disc for our braking system. Our brake system is controlled by electric over hydraulics that actually senses the amount of braking force that we need. It's called a smart braking system and pulsates to slow the tramway down. From that point on, we go to the bull wheel. The bull wheel is what actually drives the whole system. We have almost a complete 360-degree loop going up to the tension wheel above here. And how the system works is we pull the tram car from the mountain station down, and in turn his cables are hooked around to the valley station car to drag them up the hill. And this is the 12-cylinder Cummins diesel that powers the hydrostatic drive, so that in the event that we do have any power failures or mechanical failures on our drive side, we can switch over and this unit will power the tramway at approximately 75% of its normal operating speed. Besides having the 12-cylinder Cummins diesel backup with hydrostatic drive, we also have another backup to that, sort of as a redundancy to our system. That's a 6-cylinder Cummins diesel hydrostatic drive, which actually sends power to 2 small drive motors that are located on the bull wheel, and they engage to the ring gear fastened to the bull wheel. Now, this drive system can only be used in the event of an extreme emergency to bring the cabins back to the dock and evacuate the passengers off the cabins. This is the control room. In front of me is the control panel. It lets us know where the tram cars are located at all times, as well as gives us the wind speed and direction at each of the towers and the mountain station.
Yep, that's just about how it was. Except the counterweights were a bit smaller, me being a lightweight. I noticed for you the towers had to be extended and the docks had to be widened. Some 1,000 cubic yards of rock had to be removed from some cliffs.
The California Department of Parks and Recreation engaged a private environmental consulting firm to monitor the blasting and rock removal. Here's one of their monitors with a report.
I'm Dave Bittner, wildlife biologist, and for the last year during the construction of the tram, we've worked on the wildlife and monitoring the endangered species here in Chino Canyon. And we've learned a lot about what's here. We've seen a lot of different kind of animals. We've watched the bighorn sheep, the deer. We've monitored the golden eagle nesting and actually even banded one of the young. And it was interesting during the construction, we didn't have any adverse effects on the wildlife that we could detect. We had the golden eagles nesting on the cliffs right near the tram when the blasting and the construction was going on. And this was kind of enlightening to see that the wildlife has adjusted so well to people. Our understanding that the millions of people that have been able to go into a wilderness area by virtue of the tram has given us a real insight into what the tram has provided for people that are young or old, handicapped, or even people that want to go up there and camp. It's allowed them to get into this wilderness area and experience something that they might not ever get to experience if they hadn't been able to get up there on the tram.
The tramway is a unique place to visit, with viewing areas like this one, named after V.W. Grubb, one of the early pioneers of the tramway. This offers you a 360-degree view of the Mount San Jacinto State Park with one of the oldest wilderness areas in all of California. From here one can see from the wind farms to the Salton Sea, and on a clear day to Mount Charleston, some 175 miles away. The tramway also has 2 distinctive gift shops, one at the Valley Station and one on top at the Mountain Station, each one carrying different variety of gift items from your seasonal apparel to your picture postcards for those friends back home. Our relationship with the state park gives us a nature museum which contains information on the plants and animals that can be found in the state park and wilderness area. There are many knowledgeable volunteers also operate a visitor center where you can get help finding a trail that may be right for you.
I've seen just about every type of wildlife there is to see up here, from roadrunners to mountain lions and those golden eagles mentioned. Plant life is really diverse, from tiny cacti to towering Jeffrey pines. Most visitors don't realize that a trip from the valley station to the mountain station is equivalent to a road trip from Sonora, Mexico to the Canadian Arctic.
Here's one of our local park rangers to elaborate on our lovely and unique ecosystem.
One of the largest wilderness areas in Southern California. The advantage that the wilderness area has for Southern California is that obviously we have a tramway that does 6,000 feet of the hard work for you when you want to visit Mount San Jacinto. A lot of wilderness areas, it's a very difficult hike to get in there and conditions may be quite rugged. This wilderness area is still set aside as a wilderness by the legislature, but at the same time it's very accessible to the people of Southern California and really to residents of California and visitors from all over the world. So people come up here and they can go backpacking, they can go hiking, they can get a feeling of solitude that's really rarely available in the rest of Southern California. So I think this is a great opportunity. The tramway and the state park in this partnership can provide a wilderness experience for literally millions of people, 13 million people in the 37 years that the tramway's been open.
Well, just as the ranger said, all this protected natural beauty is for everyone to enjoy. The 54 miles of hiking trails from an easy half-mile jaunt to Long Valley to the 5.5-mile hike to the top of Mount San Jacinto. There's picnic tables, campgrounds, guided nature trails. When it snows, there's skiing equipment to rent at the Long Valley Station. You can go cross-country skiing in some of the prettiest, untouched wilderness around. Parents bring their kids. Some have never seen snow. They go snow tubing and sledding, and just about everyone, young and old, tries to pick a snowball fight.
Look out! That seems to be one of our biggest draws, the difference in temperature and even climate, from the valley station to the mountain station.
In Palm Springs, they get up to the top of the mountain here, and it's very pleasant. In the 70s and 80s, you can take a nice 5-mile loop hike up to Round Valley, see this beautiful meadow. It's, again, a rare experience in Southern California to see a natural mountain meadow that's still in a pristine state. So people can come up here and still enjoy that experience in the summer, get out of the heat, and come up and really enjoy the state park.
Another local secret that most visitors have found: riding the tram at night. It's something no visitor should miss.
Oh, I agree. It's a totally different experience. Riding to the mountain station in the evening while viewing all the twinkling lights in the valley below, the crisp, clean air, the great dinner served in the highest located restaurant in the valley. It's a favorite romantic rendezvous.
You know, I remember taking couples for evening tram rides, from prom dates to folks celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. I'm glad to see it's catching on with our visitors as well. Yeah. I've even seen whole generations grow up, get married, and bring their children to the tram. Just like you will.
I'm looking forward to it, almost as much as our visitors look forward to experiencing the unique and exciting Palm Springs Aerial Tram for many years to come.